him to unmute.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible
Hello.
now.
Audible?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Welcome.
Me.
Very good evening and welcome to one and all present here. Myself, Dr. Vikas Pandey, in capacity of President Mission Star Program, initiated by Pharmaceutical Royal International Society. Feels immense pleasure to introduce you all with this symposium. It's completely understandable that how coronavirus and COVID-19 confronted all lives all across the world, and undoubtedly in whatever measures we talk about same will be less. But what's more important is how to combat and live with this pandemic situation. Keeping in view the same, Mission Star Team Jabalpur in association with Prasal Foundation presents this consisting extremely valuable and obliging session from our respected today's eminent speakers. Before proceeding with the session, I would like to introduce you all Professor Preeti Tagle, who is leading scientist and academician and founder president of Prasal Foundation, working in education and healthcare sector over past 10 years. She has been invited as special celebrity guest and conferred with National Great Icon Award as the most admiring woman entrepreneur for her contribution to health sector, as well as by Anti-Corruption Foundation of India on 2nd of February 2020 at Zirkapur. She has been invited as chief guest in Rubara Foundation for facilitating the youths for their poetry and literature on 10th February 2000, and also has been invited as keynote speaker in World Congress and Pharmaceutical Sciences by Innovin Conference and awarded with Women Excellence Award on 2nd and 3rd of December 2019. Prasal, under the leadership conferred with Pharma Ratan, Best NGO by RDM and Pharma Ratan Universe at Delhi 25th November 2019. She has been invited as a resource person at AICT sponsored 6-day short-term training program on recent laboratory techniques of biotechnology during 30th September to 15th October 2019 at LNCP Bhopal. Professor Preeti Tagle is awarded with Outstanding Achievement Award and invited as distinguished guest and keynote speaker in BioLeak International Conference at Indonesia 14th and 15 March 2019. Healthcare leader by World Health and Wellness Society in Mumbai on 14 February 2019. She is also recipient of Young Scientist Award by Lokman at Dehradun in 2019. As a social reformer, she always urged to grasp new things to create the ideas, and these ideas make new innovation and research. It's really great, a matter of great honor to have Professor Preeti Tagle with us. Now I would like to request Professor Preeti Tagle to have a brief introduction about the Prasal Foundation. Professor Preeti, please.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. And first of all, I would like to welcome a resource person, Dr. Ashish Dingraji, Dr. Seema Kohli Madam. And today we have made this event under the bannership of...
Madam, you're not audible, ma'am.
Voice is...
So I just welcome all the participants, all the resource person to our National Mastro Symposia.
Hello.
As we invited our eminent speaker from medical and pharmacy as well as various fields. And so that by this symposia, we are going to cover various challenges in the diagnosis of COVID-19 and moving towards the Prasal Foundation. This is the Pharmaceutical Royal International Society, which is a non-governmental organization working in the field of healthcare sector. And we have various accolades in our credits, like awarded with the Pharma Ratna Award based on the credentials and the work by the society. And one thing I just wanted to share, apart from the healthcare and education sector, we are also working in this as a social activist, and we did many international collaborations work for research, advanced training for youth and job orientation. In 2019, already we awarded with the Pharma Ratna, and our NGO is awarded with the Best Healthcare NGO by World Health Congress. And with this, we have launched various programs. The STAR mission we have launched under this. Today we have this program by our Jabalpur team, STAR mission, that is the study for technology, advancement and research. So we have launched this program by the theme and the motive is that for advanced learning, how we can come up with advanced techniques. And we already see this time the only thing which we work in this pandemic and lockdown period, we all are used to with this advanced learning platform. And this is the initiative we already taken in 2019. And so with this words, I would like to once again invite all the eminent personality in this symposia where we can interact one by one. Welcome you all.
Thank you, Dr. Preeti. That was really wonderful. Now, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all with our today's first eminent speaker, Dr. Ashish S. Degra, sir. Dr. Ashish S. Degra, sir, who is MD Medicine in CPS Diabetology, Director at Mahi Diabetes and Thyroid Care and Research Center, Jabalpur, and Consulting Diabetologist at Jabalpur Hospital and Research Center. Dr. Degra has received training in diabetology from All India Institute of Diabetes, SL Raheja Hospital, Mumbai, worked as preceptor at SHIP course in diabetology, Italy, and pursued diploma in diabetes from Cardiff University, UK. He has completed post-graduation course in diabetes from Boston University, successfully acquired advanced training certification course in diabetes from Cleveland Clinic. He is recipient of certificate course in evidence-based diabetes management and Public Health Foundation of India. Dr. Degra is eminent fellow of Diabetes India and certificate holder of FIACM. He has done certificate course in diabetes food, has published various papers in peer-reviewed journals, including original articles of national and international repute. His current area of thirst and interest in research include gestational diabetes mellitus and young diabetes mellitus. Patient education and support program in nutrition and diabetes has always been one of his most prominent features. Dr. Degra is Vice Chairman at API Jabalpur Center, Jabalpur Chapter, Secretary at Jabalpur Endocrine Society, and Faculty for National Diabetes Education Program since last 6 years. He has received Certificate of Merits in Pharmacology and Endocrinology, including Microbiology, and Diabetes Awareness Award at RSSDI 2014. Dr. Degra has won Diabetes Awareness Initiative at Diabetes India 2016. He is American Diabetes Association certified speaker. He is national guest faculty as a speaker in APCOM, RSSDI, Diabetes India, Academia, and Diacon. And above all, it's really a matter of great honor, not only for Jabalpur, the state, but also for the nation to have the personality in the form of Dr. Degra, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Degra, sir, to please address his valuable thoughts for this symposium.
Welcome, Dr. Ashish Degra ji.
Thank you, Vikas, for introducing me, and thanks a lot for inviting me here today to deliver a lecture on this present scenario of COVID-19, that how we should manage diabetes and hypertensive patients who are requiring too much help when we were before lockdown and during lockdown, how they can help themselves at home, and what are the basic precautions. First, we will going through that. In the coming few minutes of journey, we will see the basic precautions what we should follow now in this unlockdown period. And post-lockdown period, we are at more prone of getting this COVID-19 infection, and what precautions we as a general persons should take, and what are the basic needs of diabetes and hypertensive patients in this COVID situation. Next. So what are the do's and don'ts? We will go through this very fast because we all know this during this corona infection. Next. So our first question is wearing the rubber gloves while out in public is effective in preventing the new corona infection? We all are going outside with our gloves and we are thinking that we will not get the corona infection. But no, it is not the truth. We have to regularly sanitize our hands if we are wearing the gloves, even we are wearing the gloves, we have to sanitize our hands, and we have to avoid touching our hands to the face, nose, and eyes, because these are the places from where the infection is prone to get in our body. So by wearing only the gloves, you are not protected. You have to sanitize them regularly. And if you are wearing it and sanitizing it, don't touch it to the face, eyes, and nose. Next. How should I greet another person to avoid catching the new coronavirus? This we all know that our Indian Namaskar is now become a worldwide feature. So stay away from the persons and do Namaskar. Don't shake the hands. Next. This I have already told, don't shake the hands nowadays. Next. So the basic question which comes in our mind, in the general public mind, that how can I grocery shop safely in the time of COVID-19? Because now the shops are opening from morning to evening. So my females will be, the colleagues will be going for shopping. So while going to the grocery shop, you should take few precautions. First of all, you sanitize yourself, sanitize the handle of the trolleys or baskets. You keep the sanitizer with yourself, and then only pick up the things from the grocery shop, and wear the gloves while going to the grocery shop, and pick up with the gloves and sanitize the gloves intermittently during the shopping also. Next. While coming back, while you are back at home, if you have bought the fruits and vegetables, you keep them for few hours, and before using them, you wash it thoroughly with water, and keep a boiled water or normal water, add a little bit of salt in it, and then wash the fruits and vegetables thoroughly and rinse them in the flowing water also, so that you will not get the infection. Next. Now the main question, the money, that whether it is spreading through coins and banknotes also. Yes, if the droplets is there, if the patient is infected and he has done the sneezing on the notes, you can get infected. So better, if you are dealing with the notes, immediately you get sanitize yourself through your hand should be sanitized immediately. And while you are dealing with the notes and coins, avoid touching your face, eyes, mouth, and nose after dealing with the notes. So basic precaution you have to take while you are dealing with the currency. Next. So in the nutshell, the basics for the general population, this I have told you. Follow the SMS formula: S for sanitization, M for mask, and S for social distance. So you have to follow the SMS formula: sanitization, mask, and social distance of at least 3 to 6 feet. So basically, you have to follow this. You have to wash your hands thoroughly, again and again, intermittently, with soap and water. And you have to sanitize your hands if you are outside. If you are not having the facility of washing your hands with soap, you sanitize your hand intermittently. So this was the message for public. Now next, for the diabetic and hypertensive patients. Next. Now how the COVID-19 infection and diabetes patients are at risk. Are people with diabetes more likely to get COVID-19 infection? So in diabetic population, if they are uncontrolled, if the sugars are high, any infection can have a higher chance of, diabetic patients are at high risk of developing any infection. But there is no need to panic in the diabetic population if they are well controlled. So they have equal risk of developing COVID-19 infection as the non-diabetic patients. So my dear diabetic patients, you don't get panic. There is equal risk if you are having good diabetes control. Next. So if the diabetic population get COVID-19 infection, are the risk of serious complication more? Yes, definitely. If the diabetes patients are uncontrolled, if their sugars are very high and fluctuating, they are at high risk of developing the complications of COVID-19, like they will have severe pneumonia, ARDS, they may require ventilator settings. So if they get corona infection, they are at high risk of developing the complications of corona infection like pneumonia and severe ARDS, like they may have breathlessness, they may become blue, hypoxic. Next. Now, what are the symptoms and warning signs which the patient should see? They should see that they should see for the glucose levels. They should not go up and down. They should check their ketone levels. They should keep track of their fluid consumption. They should have proper hydration and be clear on your symptoms. For example, if you are nauseating, just a stuffy nose, you should have the checklist of the symptoms of corona, and you should have the proper glucose control at home. Next. So if you feel breathlessness, shortness of breath, chest compression, confusion, blue lips or face, these are the signs of emergency and you should immediately rush to the hospital. Next. So there are two types of diabetes we know, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is seen in the children's. They are insulin dependent. They take insulin for their whole life. And type 2 we usually see in the young and adult patients. So the risk is same, but the complications may be more in type 1 diabetics. They may develop ketoacidosis and more chances of corona infection if they have high blood glucose levels. Next. This was the overview that whether the diabetic patient is at risk or not. Now moving on to the how to manage them at home during this corona infection. So growing pandemic of COVID-19, we know there is an outbreak. About 55 lakh people are affected worldwide, and the increased risk of infection and worse outcome with increased mortality is there. And this has led to strict measures like isolation and lockdown in India also. Next. Now, what are the challenges for diabetic patients during this COVID-19 infection due to lockdown? They are not able to get their sugar checkups outside in the labs. There is lack of access to diabetes educators, diabetes specialists in rural areas. There is low adherence to medications during this lockdown period, and all these led to poor glycemic control. So lack of exercise, lack of medications, and lack of proper sugar control, all these have led to the poor glycemic control during this lockdown period. Next. So how we can overcome this? By analyzing the blood sugar fluctuations and further dose adjustments, analyzing patient medical adherence and control of other risk factors like hypertension should be done in this corona infection period. Next. We should recommend the self-monitoring of blood glucose at home. The use of glucose monitoring devices and the use of technology-based intervention will help our diabetic patients to get their sugars control at home, and how we will see. Next. This is the simple glucometer, which we recommend to all the diabetic patients to keep at home. So self-monitoring of blood glucose can be done at home. They can send their reports to the doctors through SMS or through WhatsApp or through telemedicine, and they can have good control of diabetes by doing it at home. Next. Even the American Diabetic Association have given the recommendation that every diabetic patient should have their blood glucose monitoring before meals, during the snacks time, at bedtime, and prior to exercise, and when they feel their sugars are going low. So the patients who are on insulin, they should have their glucose levels checked accordingly day by day, before meals, during the exercise, or prior to exercise at bedtime, and when they are feeling their glucose levels are going low. Next. A new tool is available now, that is continuous glucose monitoring system. The old was the glucometers. Now newer one are available, that is continuous. The name itself suggests that continuous glucose monitoring. So this gadget is monitoring the sugars every 1 to 5 minutes automatically through the interstitial glucose levels. It helps the physicians and patients to adjust the medication therapy and to achieve good glycemic control. Next. Next. So there are various available gadgets, that is CGM, glucose monitoring system. It may be real time, intermittently scanned, and the blinded CBM. All these help the patients to control the glucose levels without going into hypoglycemia or reducing the risk of hypoglycemia. Next. So this is the gadget which is available now, that is the CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. The circular type of machine is there, which is put on the arm. It is like the sticker. You will not feel any pain. You will not feel any infection on this. So a sticker-like gadget is applied on the upper arm, and this is the reader, which you can see like a glucometer. This reader can see the glucose levels, how much is the glucose. So real time, what is the glucose level at 5 a.m., 5:15 a.m. This can be seen continuously. So now the gadgets are available which give you real time glucose level every 5 to 15 minutes. So by that, seeing that if we have rasgulla, if we have 2 chapati, if we have 1 dhokla, how much sugar is going up after 2 hours, we can see of our own. So the technology has gone up and up in the recent world. So during the lockdown period, we can keep track of the patient's sugar by doing the continuous glucose monitoring at home. Next. So after the technology in the monitoring, what is the technology during the lockdown period we use for the consultation? For consultation with the doctor, we can use telehealth for remote consultation. We can use mHealth or mobile apps. We can keep electronic medical records. So these have helped us a lot during the past 3 months of the lockdown. And we have helped a lot of patients through SMS, through WhatsApp, through telemedicine. Next. So how is technology benefiting diabetes patients? Through telemedicine, you can advise the patient at home. The patient can't come from village. They can send their reports through WhatsApp, through their telemedicine apps. Various apps are available, and through video consultation, we can see the patient's problem, whether they are having some swelling, some wound at the foot. We can see through the video calling. So in this lockdown period, we have helped a lot of patients who are not able to come from the village, and we can prescribe the medicines from here only. We can tell them to do sugar reports through glucometer. They send us the reports through the glucometers and through the WhatsApp, and we give them the new prescription. So this technology is helping a lot during the lockdown period. So there are telemedicine available, mobile apps available, and the social media, which is available for helping the patient during this lockdown period. Next. So how the telemedicine works? The patient, we send the link to the patient clicks on the link, he sends his data through that link on our system, EMR system. We see the patient's sugar reports, old reports, and old prescription, and then we prescribe him the new medicines, and the new prescription is sent through the electronic records and the telemedicine. So like this, the channel works, and the telehealth is helping a lot during this lockdown period. Next. So this is the basic thing which I have told you. The patient can send email, can send SMS, can send the WhatsApp, and then we can see his reports and send the prescription. Next. The advantages we all know. We can help them through the virtual consultation. Diabetes educator can tell them about the diet and exercise, and the behavior therapy and counseling can be given, that don't panic, be calm at home, do the exercise at home. If you don't have a big place, you can do exercise at home only, rope skipping, jumping, jogging, you can do at home only. So diabetic retinopathy screening can be done at the remote place through the artificial intelligence. Now the scanners are available. So this is helping a lot during the lockdown period. Next. Now the mobile health, everything now we have in our hand through the mobile. So the mobile health applications using the smartphone and the mobile applications, there are available, many mobile apps are available which help you to monitor the glucose, other variables when needed like blood pressure, weight, and diet. So you monitor your sugar at home, you send the SMS through their mobile apps, and they will keep the record of your sugar reports, and they can send the chart to the doctors if they are connected through your mobile health apps. It helps to achieve preset targets. It provides immediate feedback between patient and physician with respect to disease progress and medication adherence. So while doing the sugar at home, you feed it on the mobile app, immediately your physician gets the message that your patient so-and-so is having so much sugars. Next. So types of mHealth, text, SMS based interventions are available. Now diabetes smartphone applications are available. The fitness trackers, the CGM monitors, which are available through the mHealth also. So various mobile health apps are available for your tracking of sugar. Next. So this is the system, how the mobile health self-diabetes management system works. You download the mobile health app, you enter your sugar reports, you enter your diet chart, you enter your exercise pattern. It sends all the reports to the doctor. The doctor assesses the patient's record and then sends the new prescription. Next. So mobile health again is helping us a lot in improving the diabetes care during this lockdown period. Next. Now the social media like the WhatsApp, Facebook, podcast, blogs, these are again helping us in this period, and the future is in this only, that social media will be helping us for management of diabetes through the various platforms to give the messages regarding diet, exercise. We can give the important messages through social media also to our diabetic patients and non-diabetic patients also. Next. So this is a summary for diabetic management during the COVID infection. We all know it is a pandemic and people with diabetes are at increased risk for complication. Mind it, they are not in increased risk for corona infection. But if the corona develops in a diabetic patient, they will have more risk of complication if the patient is having high sugars. So my message to diabetic patient, don't panic. If you keep your sugars well controlled, you will not get the higher risk of corona infection. And if you get corona infection, you will be controlled, you will be out of it if you have good diabetes control. So adherence to healthy diet and lifestyle and access to healthcare facility is limited during lockdown period. So you have to monitor your sugar at home. You have to send the SMS to your doctor or message to doctor that my sugars are coming so much. And if you are having high sugars, your doctor will help through telemedicine or mobile system or through WhatsApp or SMS system. So don't panic, be calm at home. If you have any emergency, then only go to your doctor's clinic. And these all gadgets like telemedicine, mobile health and social media will help you to control your sugars at home. So this was the picture for diabetes patients. Now moving on to the hypertensive patients, in the coming few minutes of journey, I will tell you how the hypertensive patients will keep their check at home during this pandemic of COVID-19. So challenges for hypertensive patient during corona. Next. We all know that there is hypertensive patients also need a OPD visit regularly. Next. So challenges for hypertensive patients are what? Clinics are not possible. Regular checkup, BP monitoring is not possible during the lockdown period. But now as the lockdown is opening, you have access to doctors for BP monitoring. But my message, you keep your electronic BP instrument at home and monitor it. Send the message to doctor. Don't try to go to clinics regularly. Just be calm at home and you can get your telemedicine, teleconsultation through the mobile only. So irregular monitoring of BP may increase the risk of complications and the associated risk factors of hypertension. Next. So regular BP checkup is not possible at this lockdown period, but don't panic. You monitor your BP at home with the electronic gadgets which are available now. Next. So this is the Omron BP instrument, which is very good for monitoring. Omron company is good for home blood pressure monitoring. You monitor your blood pressure 3 times, morning, afternoon and evening, and you send the readings to doctor through telemedicine, and you can get your prescription while being at home. So don't panic. Even the European Society of Cardiology have given the recommendation that you can monitor your blood pressure at home. Next. What are the advantages of doing the home blood pressure monitoring? That many patients, they are coming to the clinic for the first time, or during their visit, they develop the phobia of doctor. And when we monitor the BP, they will have higher BP. This is known as white coat hypertension. That is hypertension due to the phobia of the hospital. So white coat hypertension can be overcome if we monitor the blood pressure at home. At home, the patient is calm. They monitor the blood pressure through the electronic instrument, and then they send the reading to doctor. So it is cheap and widely available at a cost of 1500 or 1400 rupees. Measurement at home setting, which may be more relevant than the doctor's office, because some patients are very anxious. So patient engagement and BP measurement is also there. It is easy and repeated BP measuring can be done. The disadvantage, it is only static BP is available, that the patient can't take the BP while lying down, or they don't have the idea to take the BP in different positions. There can be potential for measurement errors. Sometimes errors can be there. The cuff is not properly tied, so there can be some measurement errors. So, but advantages are more. Next. So, even the American Clinical Cardiology and Heart Association have recommended that out of office and self-monitoring of BP should be recommended. Next. Now, what are the challenges? There is irregular monitoring of BP, which may increase the risk of complication or mortality during this lockdown period. So go for telemedicine. Next. What are the complications of hypertension? We all know that if the BP is not controlled, the patient may develop heart attacks, may develop stroke, that is cerebrovascular accident. If the BP is very high, the patient may have retinal failure, that is eye problem can be there. Renal failure, that is kidney problem can be there. Heart failure can be there. So there are various complications of hypertension if we don't keep it controlled. But during this lockdown period, you don't have to panic. Keep your BP instrument at home, monitor it, send the message to doctor through telemedicine. You will get your new medicines if the BP is not controlled. Next. With each 20 by 10 millimeter increase of BP, the CV mortality risk doubles. So my dear friends, keep your blood pressure under control. Now, what is the normal blood pressure? You all should know. 120 by 80 is normal for the non-hypertensive patient. The patient or anybody, normal public, it is 120 by 80. If the BP is high, more than 140 by 90, you have to take medicines. And the target of the patient should be at least less than 130 by 80. So 130 by 80 should be the target. If the BP is higher, systolic BP by 20 and diastolic by 10, the CV mortality is high by twice. So as the BP increases, the mortality by cardiovascular risk is high. So you have to keep your blood pressure under control, that is below 130 by 80 at least. Next. So these are the various complications we have already discussed, that if you don't keep your sugar under control, blood pressure under control, your kidneys may fail, your heart may fail, your brain may have attack. So please be your number at less than 130 by 80. Next. So proper diagnosis of hypertension is difficult due to irregular clinic visit during this period, and which has increased the risk for complications. But my dear friends, don't panic. You buy your electronic instrument, send the readings to your doctor. You will be having very good control at home only. Next. Next. So basic workup should be done for hypertensive patient. They should have their hemoglobin checked, cholesterol checked, sugar checked, ECG. After doing this basic workup, you will have good control of BP. And if you have any problem in this, other problems like sugar or any other cardiac problem, you will come to know. So basic workup should be done for hypertensive patients, that is lipid profile, ECG, blood sugars, hemoglobin, they should get it checked. Next. Next. Now the associated risk factors which worsens the condition. If the patient is having hypertension and associated cigarette smoking, diabetes, dyslipidemia, overweight, physical inactivity, all these leads to increased risk in patients with hypertension. So my dear friends, if you are taking tobacco, you are taking cigarette, you please avoid it from now, because your blood pressure will be well controlled. If you don't take, cigarette smoking is avoided and tobacco is avoided, you will have good control of hypertension with less medicines. Next. Next. So if the patient is having hypertension along with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dyslipidemia, obesity, renal disease, hyperuricemia, all these can lead to more problem, and so you may develop serious complications like cardiac attack, cerebrovascular accidents. So avoid getting these all complications by keeping your blood pressure under control and avoiding the unhealthy diet, avoiding the alcohol, avoiding tobacco, avoiding the cigarette smoking. Next. Next. So for hypertensive patients, the telemedicine is very easy. I have already told you how it works. You just monitor your blood pressure at home, 2 to 3 readings, send it to the doctor through telemedicine apps. Doctor will see your records, old medicines, your now present readings. He will send you the new prescription. So during this COVID-19 infection also, don't panic. You can get good control of hypertension at home through telemedicine. Next. Next. So telemedicine apps are now available. Don't panic. Don't worry. Be at home. If you don't have any problem, you can monitor your blood pressure at home, send the messages through telemedicine apps. Next. So highlight of this lecture of corona and hypertension control is due to lockdown, hypertensive patients faces various challenges, but by doing the BP monitoring at home by self meter, you will have ease at home. Send the readings to doctor through the telemedicine apps, through any mobile apps or any computer apps you are having, or your doctor will send you the link. Through that you can send the readings, and your old records should be sent to the doctor so that he may have the proper records and he may send you the proper medicines. Next. So in nutshell, what we have discussed in the coming few minutes of journey, that please follow the formula of SMS, that is social distancing, masking and sanitization. In the diabetic patients, don't panic. You will not have a higher chance of infection if you have good control. During this lockdown period also, through telemedicine, your doctors are with you. Monitor your sugar at home. You send your records to doctor. He will send you the newer prescriptions. In hypertensive patients also, you monitor your blood pressure at home through the electronic BP instrument. You send your readings to your doctor. Avoid unhealthy diet. Avoid unhealthy sleeping pattern. Do exercise at home. If you don't want to go out, if you do rope skipping, jumping, jogging at home only you can do, walking at your terrace. So follow the formula, simple formula, EDM. E for exercise, do exercise at home. E for exclusion of alcohol, tobacco and junk food. D for diet, take some balanced diet, low carbohydrate, low fat diet, take more of vegetables and fruits at home. M for meditation, do meditation at home daily. And M for medicines, if you are having any problem like diabetes or hypertension, you take regular medicines for that. So by following this EDM formula, E for exercise, E for exclusion of alcohol, tobacco and junk food, D for diet, take balanced diet, M for meditation and medicines and monitoring at home and send the reading to doctor. So in nutshell, I will finish that don't panic during this COVID-19 situation. We doctors and all the paramedical staff are with you to help you. So if there is any emergency, then only go to your doctor. Otherwise, through telemedicine, you can have a proper control of diabetes. And thanks a lot for patient hearing, and thanks a lot to the pharma people who have invited me, pharmacy people and the societies, and Shweta madam and Vikas and all the faculty which is with today here, and all the audience, because without audience we are nothing. So thanks a lot to audience also. Thank you for patient hearing.
Thanks, Dr. Ashish.
Thank you,
Over
sir.
to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful and helpful and fruitful session. And as we all are very well aware that Bharat is also known for diabetic capital in the world, and all the persons and delegates who are present in this meeting might is having in serious issue or concern of diabetes and hypertension in the form of relatives or something like. So if anybody is having queries, any questions, you can please ask to our respected sir who has given just in recent a wonderful session. Any questions, please?
Thanks, Dr. Ashish, for giving you a wonderful session. Like it's
One
somewhere
question is there in the chat box. Is it true that due to diabetes, there can be numbness or hardness in the feet? Yes, it is from Dr. Rekha Verma. If the sugars are not controlled for long time, if the sugars are very high for many years, like 2 to 3 years, you are keeping your sugars above 200 post meal and above 120 fasting, your nerves may get damaged gradually and you may feel the neuropathy symptoms. So the message is keep your fasting sugar at least near about 100 or 110 and keep your post meal blood sugar below 180. So you will not have any complications in your life. Any other questions?
Dr. Ashish, I have one question. Is that see, this is like COVID-19 pandemic condition. Everyone has life has suffered. So I just wanted to know that what symptoms should diabetic patient look for if they think he or she will suffer by the COVID-19? Is there any differences between the diabetic one or a normal patient?
Good question. And for the general population also,
Exactly.
it is very important to know that what are the symptoms, whether he is developing corona or not. Exactly. So symptoms will be same whether the patient is diabetic or non-diabetic. The patient may be, but in our the beauty of this infection is that only 10 to 15% patients will have symptoms, or maximum patients are asymptomatic. But what are the mild symptoms which we have to see? There will be body ache, fever, throat pain, and the sneezing. Sneezing may be there. So dry cough, body pain, and fever. These are the main three symptoms which you should see. And they will be same in diabetic or non-diabetic. There will be no difference.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to know one more question. What is the best precaution for fourth stage hypertension?
Pardon?
Best precaution for fourth stage hypertension. Somebody has wrote there in a chat box.
Fourth stage is very high hypertensive. Readings are very high, exactly. above 160 by 90. So the precautions are same for every patient who is having hypertension. Simple. Keep the salt intake less than 2 gram or 2 gram. Extra salt you should avoid. टेबल से आप salt हटा दीजिए. सलाद में salt मत डालिए, फ्रूट में salt मत डालिए. नॉर्मल salt लीजिए. तली हुई चीजें कम लीजिए. एक्सरसाइज डेली करिए और बीपी की दवाई डेली लीजिए. तो दिस इज द बेसिक फॉर्मूला. You have to control your BP below 130 by 90 or 130 by 80. 130 by 80 is the target. So stage 4 hypertension also, you have to take care of your reading by taking proper medicine, by avoiding the extra salt and keeping the exercise regularly.
Even this is the come back to basics. Come back to basics. It's like something you have to follow each and every practices. Good practices, avoid junk food, avoid everything which destroy our metabolism system, and it's something like that.
Yeah, you have to avoid the junk food because it is having very high glucose levels also and very high salt levels. So we have to avoid junk food. If you have very much craving, you can take once a month only. We should teach our children also that please take all the junk food only once a month and do the exercise, regular exercises, to avoid the development of early young age hypertension and diabetes we are seeing in our clinics. 12-year patient, 13-year young boy and girls are coming with diabetes and hypertension. So this is a very bad situation in India also due to junk food and bad habits.
Doctor, I have one more question in a chat box. During the testing of glucose level, is there any type of fluctuation can be seen in the sphygmomanometer before meal and after meal?
See, sphygmomanometer is for blood pressure. It is not for sugar. It is the glucometer, which is
something has wrong.
the sugar machines which we use, the glucometers.
Before and
They
after
have some
fluctuation.
variation. Like if the sugars are coming 300, there is 10 to 15% higher reading in glucometer because it measures the capillary glucose. The venous glucose, which we take it from the hand, it is venous, and which we do by the glucometer is the interstitial capillary fluid, blood. So there is a difference of 10 to 15%. So there will be 10 to 15% high reading in glucometer. If the some patient is having 300 glucose, reduce 30 milligram. So it will be the venous reading. So by doing the calibration regularly, by changing the cells regularly, the glucometers give very good reports at home.
Exactly. This is the main thing. One last question I just wanted to ask. Can some diabetic medication amplify the immunoresponse to COVID-19?
Yeah, previously there was a noise about the angiotensin receptor blockers and ACE inhibitors that they will increase the infection of corona. But the recent studies and all the American cardiology, European Cardiology Society, they have done some studies and they have shown there is no increased risk of increased incidence of corona infection or increased incidence of complications if we use these drugs like angiotensin receptor blockers or ACE inhibitors. So these patients already who are on these drugs, they should not panic.
Thank you, doctor, for giving your wonderful deliberation on this diabetic and the various challenges you have covered related to the diabetic patient, hypertensive patient, and it's really a pleasure you will be in our platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam, and thanks a lot to all. And I will take a leave from here because I have to go to hospital. So thanks a lot, Vikas, Shweta madam, and all.
Sir, thank you very much for your time, sir, and for this valuable session.
Wishing you many happy returns of the day.
Okay, now we'll proceed with the program. I request Dr. Rajesh to please introduce our next and second eminent speaker, respected ma'am. So, Dr. Rajesh, up to you now.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Vikas, sir. I am Dr. Rajesh Shukla in the form of Vice President, Mission Star Team, Jabalpur. It's a matter of great honor to have our next eminent speaker in the form of Dr. Mrs. Seema Kohli, ma'am. PhD Pharmaceutical Science, has been working in the health and pharmacy field for over 28 years. She has authored around 12 books, manuals, and around 80 research review papers related to pharmaceutical science. Her rich educational background in pharmaceutical science has given her a broad base to approach many fields. She has guided around 10 candidates for their PhD. Presently, she is coordinator, community college and head pharmacy at Cain Polytechnic College, Jabalpur, under Rajiv Gandhi Technical University, Bhopal. She has been bestowed with academician national awards 3 times in her career. Besides PhD in pharmaceutical sciences, has done MBA, PG diploma, and certified various health pharmaceutical science related fields. She has contributed to many international journals and pharmaceutical science in her articles. She is a fellow and member of national international societies, editorial boards, and critic of international journals. So, I would like to invite respected ma'am for her extremely valuable session. Please, Dr. Seema Kohli, ma'am.
Welcome, Dr. Seema Kohli, madam. We are eagerly waiting for
Thank
your
you,
presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I start sharing my screen. So it has been a long time. 1 घंटा हो गया आप लोगों को सुनते हुए, but never mind. कुछ अच्छा करने के लिए कुछ समय तो देना ही पड़ता है. और बहुत अच्छी बात है कि हम इस प्रोफेशन से जुड़े हुए हैं, फार्मेसी प्रोफेशन से जुड़े हुए हैं. So first part we have dealt with the clinical part, and now the second one we shall be dealing with the pharma part. And as you all know that for the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, we are handling a great situation, great difficulty in finding the proper treatment for the COVID-19. That is one of the biggest problem. बाकी अगर कोई भी ऐसी बीमारी होती है तो हमें किसी भी बात से डरने की जरूरत नहीं होती, because we have a solution for it. Now in this particular conditions, that is in COVID-19, we are facing problems because there is no proper treatment solution for this. Now in such a critical situation, what we have to do is find a solution. लेकिन एक बात हमको ये भी देखनी है यहाँ पे कि जब हम एक सोल्यूशन देख रहे हैं किसी भी प्रॉब्लम का, तो उसके लिए हमारे पेशेंट के पास में ज्यादा समय नहीं है. जब ज्यादा समय नहीं है तो ऑब्वियसली वी हैव टू गो फॉर अ बिट ऑफ शॉर्टकट, जिसको हम कह सकते हैं, नॉर्मल भाषा में हम कह सकते हैं कि हम शॉर्टकट ढूंढें, लेकिन बट दैट हैज टू बी अ रिलायबल वन. बहुत सिंपल सी एक चीज अगर हम सोचें कि सपोज वी आर ट्रैवलिंग बाय अ ट्रेन and we move from a source to the destination, it takes a long time. But if we board a train somewhere in between and we go to the destination of that particular train, it takes less time, less consumptions of time, and it is also less expensive. So repurposing of the drug, or we can say it is a repositioning of the drug. Now this has brought us a great opportunity, an amazing opportunity for finding a solution for COVID-19. Now, what exactly is repurposing? And let us have a brief about this. Now, establishing other new medical usage for already known drugs, including the approved drugs. Even if you have certain drugs which have been just left in between because of some or the other reasons, and then we find some new implications for those, and we utilize those activities of that drug, and that will be called as a repurposing. Yeah, we can say it as a repositioning of the drug, or we can say in a very simple way that it is the new uses of the old medicines. Now, drug repurposing or repositioning, that lies in repurposing an active pharmaceutical ingredient for a new indication that is already on the market. जो भी मार्केट में है, अगर हम उसमें एक नया कोई उसका यूसेज करते हैं, then that is called as a drug repurposing. And this is one of the important thing which is very new trend. Rather, we cannot say it is a new trend. ठीक है, काफी दिनों से ये चल रहा है, and we have been utilizing it, and with great what we can say, with reduced risk and great belief. Then drug repurposing is a promising approach, and it is mainly applied for the treatment of rare genetic diseases. Earlier, we have been focusing drug repurposing for genetic diseases, rare genetic diseases only. But now we are using it for some conventional diseases also. And this has presents lot of benefits to our pharmaceutical industries as well. Now, history shows that in about mid of 2000, sildenafil for angina. This was repositioned for erectile dysfunctioning, and all of you must have heard about thalidomide. Thalidomide was a drug which was given to the pregnant woman for morning sickness. And all of you know what was the blunder it has caused. That was a fetus born without the limbs. That was called as a thalidomide tragedy, and since then it was banned. It was not used being properly. Now this has been repositioned for being used in the multiple myeloma. So the success created by this, it has created big interest in repurposing, which resulted in the formation of many repurpose focused startup companies. Then drug repurposing has extended to include active substances that has been failed in clinical phases of their development due to their toxicity, due to some insufficient efficacy, or the drugs have been withdrawn from the market for some or the other reasons. So that they are being exploited here. Now, for example, we have chloroquine. This, as you all know, this is a very well-known drug, and it was the only drug earlier for being an anti-malarial drug, and it was synthesized in 1934 and was later targeted towards many other diseases. All of you know that it is being used as in parasitic diseases, fever, lupus, skin rashes, and recently, as you all know, it has now been used in the treatment of coronavirus patients. Now, these are very simple definitions of repurposing. I just quote by word that at its simplest, drug repurposing is taking an existing drug, seeing whether it can be used as an effective treatment for some other conditions. We are using it for some other conditions, not for the same conditions for which it was used earlier. Second, another definition is given by a scientist that repurposing generally refers to studying drugs that are already approved to treat one disease or condition to see if they are safe and effective for treating other diseases. So this is a very simple definition of repurposing. Now, why drug repurposing? That's again an important question. बहुत छोटे शब्दों में मैंने आपको brief किया था शुरू में ही कि drug repurposing से हमें क्या फायदा हो सकता है and why we went for drug repurposing. Now, the usual drug development process, it takes lot of time, and a patient does not have much time. Even if it is a cancer patient, if it is a AIDS patient, or even if we talk about the COVID patient or any other critical conditions, then the patient does not have that much time to spare for the discovery of a new drug. A new drug discovery, as that will be detailed in our next slides, it takes about 35 to 45 years of time. So that is again a huge time. So the repurposing of old drugs is an attractive proposition for that because it involves the use of de-risked compounds. Already, we have conducted studies over these drugs. So that part is being reduced. And this has been found to be potentially lower, overall development cost is lower, and again, the development time is shorter. Drug repurposing was initiated with expanding interest from pharmaceutical organizations as well, and there has been recognizable proof of different chemoinformatics and bioinformatics findings also. Now, out of these, nearly 10% of repurposed drugs, they have been approved by regulatory bodies, and 70% are there in the stages of the clinical development. Now, let us very briefly, we discuss about the drug discovery process. Researchers identify particular cellular and genetic factors that play a major role in each disease condition. That is all we very well know. Now, the discovery and developmental stages of new drug molecules that includes target identification. Now, target identification means targeting cellular and genetic markers associated with a particular disease. Second step is target prioritization or validation. That is, identification of developed molecules that have an effect on selected target. Late identification, that is molecule capable of treating the diseases, and lead optimization, that is the comparison of properties of various lead compounds, and finally the selection of lead compound with the greatest potential. This is in brief just about the drug discovery process. This is a schematic presentation of the drug discovery process where we divide the process into two parts, that is the discovery and the development part. In the discovery part, you have the strategic research, exploratory research. In static research, we have the target discovery, and in exploratory research, we have the hit generation and then the lead identification. Then in the development part, we have the preclinical and clinical part, that is the candidate drug selections and the full development. And finally, we go for the FDA approval and the post-approval sites. Then the drug discovery and repurposing. Now, preclinical studies which follow drug discovery ensure the safety of the drug by laboratory and animal testing. After the preclinical research, we have the IND, that is the investigational new drug application, is being submitted to FDA for permission to conduct the clinical testing. Clinical research jo hai, that is again being taken up into 3 phases, 1, 2, and 3 studies, and it's mainly to ensure the safety and efficacy of the drug in the humans. Now, despite the huge investments, time-consuming process, the chances of new drug molecule clearing all the drug approval process are often neglected. So that is a critical point here. Spending so much time, and then if something happens in these clinical phases, then again, your effort comes to be zero. So the drug manufacturing companies, they focus on other viable options for drug research. Now, which define drug repurposing. So drug repurposing, again, we define it. We are again doing just coming through it once again, that is studying the drugs that are already approved to treat one disease or condition to see if they are safe and effective for treating other diseases. So that is the reason, that is why the drug repurposing is a need for all, and it is a need of an hour. Now that also helps in the pharmaceutical development. That is what we can say that the drug repurposing is leading to the quick development. Now, drug repurposing is an innovation stream of pharmaceutical development that offers advantage for drug developers and along with safer medicines for the patients. After all, we are all working for the patients. Now, several drugs, they have been successfully repositioned to a new indications. Already we have cited the example of the drug used for Viagra and thalidomide. Then we have also seen that there are a lot of business opportunities for pharmaceutical industries, weighing both the challenges and opportunities of the repurposing. Now, in addition to this, repurposing can be extended, profiling as a lower risk, cost-effective repurposing model for pharmaceutical companies. And that can help in the novel collaborative business opportunities that help to realize the repositioning of the shelved and the marketed compounds. So we can work where we find the potential. That is here in this particular critical conditions, repositioning is very important because that these studies have already been conducted, and we can work on any drug where we find they have a potentiality in this, whatever the drugs they are being shelved or they are being in the marketed compounds. This is a kind of brief schematic presentation is there. You can very well see here that halfway, the drug repurposing process, halfway means we are starting in the halfway of this. So that means we are boarding the train in between and reaching the target one, that is the FDA approval. So we are saving this much of time, right? So this is how the drug repurposing is helpful to us. Now here we will be having certain success stories of drug repurposed. Aspirin, all of you know that it was used as an analgesic, right? As in the treatment of arthritis. Newer drug. Aapko yaad ho kya that was an thing FDA, US FDA has approved it for the as an antiplatelet agent. For every particular use, one has to go for the legal obligations also. I quickly cite certain examples. Now, nutraceuticals and familial dysautonomia. Now, familial dysautonomia is a debilitating pediatric disorder that has been characterized by symptoms such as cardiovascular problems, increased sensitivity to pain and temperature, GIT disturbances, increased occurrence of pneumonia, and in this particular case, children with this disease do not live past the age of 3. So very critical conditions. Now, recent research has revealed that common nutraceuticals means like your green tea, that causes FD, that can be used to prevent the mutant gene that causes FD from being transcribed in patients' brain cells. So these compounds, they include isoflavones, are plant-derived substances with estrogenic activity, and EGCG, which is, this is a chemical constituent. EGCG is a chemical constituent which is found in abundance in the green tea. Next example of the Celebrex and colorectal polyps. Now, all of you know this is a COX-2 inhibitor, Celebrex, and it has been used to effectively in osteoarthritis and a disease characterized by bone damage, chronic pain, and decreased range of motion. And this drug was found to be effective in the treatment of the additional polyp formation in patients who had colon cancer. So this is one thing which is, we have reused this Celebrex. This is a trade name. Celecoxib is the generic word, active constituent. Then metformin, all of you know, this is being widely used in the diabetic patients. It has been manufactured for low cost for years, and it has long record of safety, effectiveness, and it has limited side effects because majority of people, they use metformin. Diabetic patients, they are using it. Now, this has been in the mid-2000s, this is as it has been reported in the British Medical Journal, that patients taking metformin for diabetes, they have a lower risk of breast cancer. And this study is being carried out in Mayo Clinic and the University of Chicago. and they are using it for studying it on the different types of cancer as well. Another example is of methotrexate, all of you know, and the rheumatoid arthritis. Methotrexate, all of you know, it is an anti-cancer agent. Chemotherapy mein use hota hai, you all very know. And this, now you see, we are just adjusting the dose of the methotrexate. In higher doses, it is being used as a chemotherapeutic agent. However, in low doses, it will be used to treat the other conditions, and it will be used to treat the rheumatoid arthritis, right? Then thalidomide and multiple myeloma, all of you know, thalidomide, abhi humne discuss kiya ki it was a dangerous drug originally because it has caused lot of critical symptoms, and critical results were there, and since then it was banned. Now it has now been repurposed safely. Thalidomide babies के नाम से जाना जाता था इसको, thalidomide monster हम बोलते थे इस particular उसको, and now it has been used in the multiple myeloma, a devastating blood cancer, and in the treatment of leprosy. Chloroquine अभी बहुत लाइमलाइट में चल रहे हैं हमारे क्लोरोक्वीन और क्वीन दोनों, किंग एंड क्वीन both are and they are lightening up. Now chloroquine, all of you know, it is a drug that has historically been used to treat the malaria, and it was combined with a new drug, that is Tarceva. Tarceva is again a drug which is being used in the lung cancer. I tell you the active constituent. Tarceva is a branded name, and the active constituent is erlotinib. Now this is being used for the lung cancer. Now this is being, when it is combined with chloroquine, right? So that has been used for the lung cancer. So it has become shown a good results here. Then rapamycin and pediatric blood disease. Now this is here, we are using this for repurposing generics for the rare diseases. आपको मालूम हो कि the drugs which are being used in the rare diseases, they are called as the orphan drugs, and most often the manufacturers, pharmaceutical manufacturers, they are not interested in these kind of diseases and in these kinds of drugs. तो ऐसे में ये patient हमारे जाएंगे कहाँ? जो actually orphan means जिनका कोई नाथ नहीं है, कोई मालिक नहीं है उनका, nobody is interested, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट में उनको कोई सब्सिडी, भाई आफ्टर ऑल whatever we do is for our bread and butter, what they, I mean the बोलते जो हैं कि हम फार्मास्यूटिकल के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन कहीं पे भी हो फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनीज जो भी हैं वो कुछ ऐसा कर, जब उनको कुछ गवर्नमेंट हेल्प मिलेगी तभी वो उसके लिए काम करते हैं. तो आप देखिए कि इसके लिए फिर हम रेपामाइसिन को अगर रिपर्पस करते हैं फॉर ट्रीटिंग द रेयर डिसीजेस. Now rapamycin was just such a drug originally developed as a transplant anti-rejection drug. Now some fairly straightforward trials were there, and it was found to be effective treatment for the pediatric blood disease, that is the autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome, ALPS, due to the immunosuppressant properties. ये बहुत rare disease है जिसमें इसको repurpose किया गया. Then atraconazole and cancer, ये भी आप सब जानते हैं कि atraconazole जो है एक antifungal drugs है और इस पे भी studies चल रही हैं, and it has found to have some anti-cancer properties. Then atra and leukemia. And another cancer treatment success story that shows a repurposing of all trans-retinoic acid, a chemical compound. Historically, it has been used for the treatment of severe acne. Now, this has been combined with traditional chemotherapy, and it induced complete remission in 90% of the patients with acute promyelocytic leukemia. So it has been found to be successful in the leukemia patients. Then we come to our main story, that is the drugs which are now helpful in the treatment of SARS-CoV-2. हम सब ने देखा है कि SARS-CoV-2 के लिए कितना झगड़ा हुआ है ना. ट्रम्प ने बोला भाई हमको हाइड्रोक्सी क्वीन दे दो, हमारे यहाँ की क्वीन ले जाओ भाई, ठीक है क्वीन हमने दे भी दी, लेकिन अब बात ये होती है कि whether it is that much effective or not. So US FDA approved limited emergency use of chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine as a treatment of COVID-19. मैं सिर्फ अभी ये आपको उन्हीं चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, या स्लाइड में मैंने वो शो किए जिन पे एक्चुअली वर्क चल रहा है और जो यूज में है. Another is that China has approved the use of favipiravir, an antiviral drug, as a treatment of coronavirus. And remdesivir, आपने अभी सुना होगा इसके बारे में भी, that has gained the emergency use authorization from FDA on May 1, 2020. based on the preliminary data showing a faster time to recovery of hospitalized patients with severe diseases. देखिए अब ये सारी चीजें हम सब इनको रीपर्पस कर रहे हैं बिकॉज अभी हमारे पास इतना टाइम नहीं है, इतना पैंडेमिक हो चुका है, हमारे पास समय नहीं है कि हम बहुत सारी चीजों को खोज कर सकें फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग. बहुत सारा ऐसा अभी हम नहीं कर सकते, तो इसलिए इन सबको रीपर्पस किया गया है. अब ये थोड़ा सा यहाँ पर हम डिस्कशन चाहेंगे. आप लोग देखिए बहुत ज्यादा तो हम नहीं डिस्कस कर पाएंगे, लेकिन जो पॉसिबल टारगेट्स हैं हमारे इसके लाइफ साइकिल में उसको आप देखिए कि सबसे पहला चीज जो है कि फर्स्ट इज द अटैचमेंट एंड द एंट्री ऑफ द कोरोना वायरस इनटू आवर बॉडी. सो दैट टेक्स प्लेस थ्रू, देखिए ACE2 राइट एंड TMPR SS2, ठीक है, इन दोनों के थ्रू इसकी एंट्री होती है. सो दिस इज द पॉइंट, दिस इज वन पॉइंट वेयर वी कैन टारगेट अवर ड्रग. हम ये सोचेंगे कि अभी हमें कैसे रोकना है. सो दिस इज हाउ वी थिंक. तो हमने ये पहले उसकी एंट्री को हम रोकना चाहेंगे, ठीक है. तो ACE2 सबने देखा कि ACE2 के द्वारा, ACE2 these are the receptors by virtue of which the spiked protein nature of SARS-CoV-2 they make entry into our body, or they utilizes TMPRSS2 to making entry in the body. Next is the cell में गया, it enter into the cells, endocytosis, endosomes, and there where you have that is an uncoating process में where you can use a chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. These three drugs, they have been found in this particular area. Then is the third is the application stage. Here we can use the remdesivir and the favipiravir. यहाँ पे हमने इसको यूज किया. Fourth stage ये आपकी है translations in the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi apparatus. And fifth is यहाँ assembling है आपकी, viron formations है, and last is the sixth is one the viron releases. तो इतने सारे आपके टारगेट साइट्स हैं where we can go for the drugs. So मैं बहुत ज्यादा तो देखिए अभी इन सब चीजों में बहुत ज्यादा नॉलेज तो किसी को भी नहीं है, बट एज पर द लिटरेचर what is there in the being published in the literature, the surveys and the studies have implied that first one the ACE2, हम ACE2 की बात करते हैं, angiotensin converting enzyme, these receptors. Here we have the recombinant ACE2. Now this is under development, right? Now this recombinant ACE2, it has been used in the acute lung injury and in the pulmonary arterial hypertension. This is the use of the recombinant ACE2. Now this is used, trying to use it for the preventing the entry of the SARS-CoV-2 into our cells, right? Now the second one, that is the second entry is through the TMPRSS2. TMPRSS2 के entry को prevent करने के लिए, इसकी binding को improve, इसके लिए हम inhibitor use करेंगे यहाँ पे. And for that, these two drugs, Camostat and Nefamostat, these are the two drugs we can repurpose for preventing the entry of SARS-CoV-2. Now इन दोनों drugs पे, Camostat and Nefamostat, इन दोनों पे जापान में काम चल रहा है. They are Japanese scientists are working on these two drugs, and these two drugs more or less they have similar kind of actions, and they are being used for pancreatitis and for I think they are being also used for the post-operative gastro disturbances. They are used. Now these two drugs, they are able to block the replications or joining with the TMPRSS2, right? And these studies, they have been found to be positive in the mouse models. तो ये हम इन दोनों ड्रग्स को यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं पॉजिटिव इसका इस्तेमाल करने के लिए. Now CoV-2 जो है, that uses endolysomal pathway, ये pathway use करता है, this one here, right? And that pathway to enter into the cells before the uncoating process. Now here we are using chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. जिस पे पूरा झगड़ा चल रहा है अभी अपना. Now these two, they have an endosomal functions and they block the autophagosome lysosome fusion of the CoV-2 with this. So here we are using chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. And another drug is the azithromycin. Azithromycin, all of you know, it is a, we can say that it is a comparatively a broader spectrum antibiotic, and this again blocks the autophagosome clearance in human cells. And previously, azithromycin, it has been found to be effective in the Zika virus and in the influenza. But again, they have a problem that HCQ, although we have been using it and it causes cardiac toxicity, and they actually prolongs the QT intervals. And HCQ has also been found to have some effect on the eyes also. Then we have another drug here, next category. यहाँ पर अगर हम आ जाते हैं RDRP पे, जो एक्ट कर रहा है हमारा वायरल RDRP पे, यहाँ पे टारगेटेड ड्रग्स इसको हम ले रहे हैं. यहाँ पे हमने यूज किया है रेमडेसिविर एंड फेविपिराविर. ये जो ड्रग्स हैं ये हमारे तब इबोला में भी यूज हुए. फेविपिराविर आपका दिस थिंग इट वाज फाउंड टू बी इन मर्स आल्सो, और इसको हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे यूज करने के लिए फॉर द आरएनए डिपेंडेंट आरएनए पॉलीमरेज को रोकने के लिए. तो ये एक साइट हो गई. ये आपकी यहाँ पे ये अभी तक इतनी जो हमारी स्टडीज हुई हैं वो यहाँ इन सारे पॉइंट्स पे या टारगेट पॉइंट्स पे हुई हैं, और इन सब पे स्टडीज चल रही हैं. अलग अलग कंट्रीज अपने अपने कर रही हैं. ब्रिटेन में अभी जो रिसेंटली मेरे ख्याल से परसों या सो न्यूज में आया, they are also working on the ibuprofen also. Now, what is the condition of repurposing in India? That is, in India, TB पे, HIV, AIDS, malaria, anti-TB drugs, leprosy, lymphatic filariasis, काला अल्सर, lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension, इन सब पर हम काम कर रहे हैं. Now, India में जो एक प्रॉब्लम हमारे साथ जा रहा है, that is the Patent Act of India, use of patent for a new indication is not permissible for an already patented drug. ये एक हमारे लिए थोड़ा सा चैलेंज है, इसलिए लोग थोड़ा इंडिया में कम इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं. Now, briefly, we go for the benefits of drug repurposing. It is less risky. Already we know that less risk. Chances of failure also we know due to adverse side effect is reduced. It is faster. Patients with terminal cancers, orphan diseases, as I told you earlier, and other incurable conditions of this thing, they often they do not have a decade to spare. Then lastly, it is cheaper because more patients will have access to this and they will be able to afford their repurposed medications. Then barriers, lack of financial incentives, undermining the existing markets, legal intellectual property uses, their issues are always there, a risky business, and scientists, they are being rewarded for originality. So they, again, the less interest from the scientists in that case. We come to the conclusion that it is a promising approach and it's mainly applied for the treatment of rare genetic diseases, now for the conventional one also. And these are the mainly two factors that may continue impact into the repurposing project. That is the need to expand product pipelines with new project has become more acute, and especially with projects for which an element of the risk has been removed. And secondly, the pool of potential compounds abandoned for the static region is growing. Jo bhi for some or the other reason why these compounds they have been abandoned or they have been stopped, research have been stopped on these compounds, we can now work upon it. Pharma industries is looking to explore the full potential of these compounds to a much earlier stage, perhaps even in late preclinical development, offering additional opportunities for these companies. Now, this technique is expected to add value to the product portfolio of the drug companies, enhance the ability to bring new and affordable treatment for the people. And since drug development involves multi-stage process time, money, interest, this type of innovative ideas and novel concepts will definitely expedite the drug development process. Now, these are the references from where I have taken this, and very few examples from our day-to-day life. That is some life examples of repurposing. We Indians are very, and thank you for patiently listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It's really very informative. Is there any questions, participants?
Thank you, Dr. Seema, madam. The session is really wonderful, and the drug repurposing is really a promising approach, which we have. And even you have covered the repurposing in a rare disease.
Not audible to me.
Thank you, Dr. Seema Madam, as you are covering the drug repurposing, and it is really one of the promising approach which we are using. And apart from that, you have covered the drug repurposing in a rare disease. Like earlier, we saw the thalidomide tragedy. That is very sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, so you have enlightened various views. You have covered the aspirin, Selcosape, and various aspects. Apart from that, the and apart from drug repurposing, you also covered the drug discovery, the various phases like preclinical, clinical one, and there will be a 4 phases and FDA approval. So that's really enlightening session and knowledgeable one. And I have one question: is that is there
Yeah.
any research going, because you have more research data? I saw your PPTs and everything. So is there
Yeah.
any research, ongoing research that looking on targeted therapy or immunotherapy drug for COVID-19?
No, no, no. Not immunotherapy पे तो अभी कोई काम नहीं हो रहा है as such.
But
We are just trying to have it on the cell cycle only, wherever the targeted sites of
The
the
RNA,
COVID, I mean the SARS-CoV-2. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The work is going on that. Not immunotherapy, building up the immunity. So I think the best way to rely on for building up your immunity is go to the Ayurveda.
But
I think that's the best.
But what I observe, it's my personal view, the
Yeah, yeah.
hydroxychloroquine,
Yeah.
we are using it's for drug repurposing. It's like
Yeah,
another aspect. Earlier we banned because it's having ringing sensation in the ear. It's
Yeah.
the major side effect.
Yeah, they all causes synchronism, the problems of synchronism. So
Exactly,
all these.
and still
Yeah.
they have many side effects. And what I saw, there are so many people who are in quarantine, and they might be have susceptible of COVID-19. They
Yeah.
might be treated by Ayurvedic one. So
Yeah.
the main thing is that the immunomodulating one.
Yeah,
So-
Ayurvedic, yes, immunomodulations there.
So that's why my question is looking for this answer.
Yeah,
Why
nee,
we are
but
not-
what the thing is that our studies, the pharmaceutical studies, not that immuno part pe, so we are not studying. The researchers are working on the target the SARS-CoV-2. बस उस SARS-CoV-2 को खत्म करने की कोशिश में जहां जहां टारगेट साइट्स पे उनको लगता है, they are working on that. The immunomodulations या immunity boost करने के लिए, that is a different part. So they are not working on that for the COVID patients. So for that the treatment what they are giving is giving the HCQs, then the vitamin C, vitamin B complex, vitamin D, and all. These are the agents which actually builds up your immunity. As such, nothing for some in this directions, repurposing in directions of this.
I have one question received by Sangadeep Gajpeji.
Ji.
He wanted to know that I would like to ask that yesterday he read something. Inflammatory drugs are useful for treating the COVID-19.
Yeah.
She told.
Yeah, I think we have covered that. Actually, see, very briefly, it is that these anti-inflammatory drugs, right? So they work on the COX-2. They actually work using the COX-2 receptors, and there is a correlation between the anti-cancer agents and the COX-2. So that is how they are being used here. And I mean, that's what I told you, that Britain that is working on the ibuprofen, right?
Exactly.
For the treatment. So again, right now, as such, we cannot say anything, I mean, very clearly, in a very authentic way about the SARS-CoV treatment. Nothing about this. Everything is under trial.
Everything is under trial, exactly.
Yeah.
Ma'am, one thing you have mentioned, what challenges we are facing in India. People are not working on the for the rare disease and all these.
Yeah, this is a long problem.
Because of patent. But I think if already some activity has reported and we are just repurposing for another one, so why we are facing this type of obstacles?
That is we have taken approval for one particular usage of that drug.
So that will be a different part.
No. That again, the law says that if you have taken approval for one thing. See, I give you a very simple example of aspirin. Aspirin earlier it was used as an analgesic. Yeah. Then for as an antiplatelet agent, FDA has given a separate approval for that. You cannot use. That is the thing, na. For HCQ also, abhi for the time being, for keeping into the considerations of this pandemic, certain relaxations they have been given, and that is why the FDA has approved for the. See, I have given that the emergency usage authority ने दिया है इसके लिए, इन सब के लिए. तभी हम इन ड्रग्स को इन कंडीशंस में अभी यूज कर पा रहे हैं. अदरवाइज बिना एफडीए अप्रूवल के लिए हम किसी भी ड्रग को किसी दूसरी कंडीशंस के लिए यूज नहीं कर सकते.
So I also add one thing in this. Shagun Upadhyay madam has asked a question.
Yeah.
She has asked that how do we judge a drug for repurposing it or it occurs accidentally, as in the case of thiazolamide?
No, that is both the things. It can happen accidentally also. See, one example is of minoxidil also. That is again an accident.
Accidentally, yeah.
It was an accident.
Accidentally.
So both of things. We have to, I mean, search for the options here. You have to look for the options and you have to utilize that. You have to encash that options. So we cannot say that every time this is an accidental one. It's not that. We have to, I mean, say for example, if we are working on the SARS-CoV-2 only, so we study the cell mechanism of the SARS-CoV-2, its replication process, and then we target where we can work upon. Simple सी चीज है. अभी जैसे अगर हम बोलते हैं कि अगर ACE2 receptors के द्वारा it makes an entry into the body cell, right? So we can use the ACE2 receptors inhibitors also. We can repurpose. We can have a study of them. That's what I am saying. Even means we can do that study also. ACE2 receptors blockers जो हमारे पास जो हैं, जो inhibitors हैं, we can try to repurpose them for blocking the entry of the SARS-CoV-2 into the human cells. Right?
So, thank you, madam. One more last question I just received. Madam, can you please suggest which is the possible pathway to target COVID-19? Is it similar like all other antiviral drugs?
No, right now we cannot say. See, earlier you have this SARS virus जो भी है आपके corona virus, they are of 7 types. ठीक है? Out of that 4 they are causes common cold, 2 MERS and SARS-CoV-2 we have already, and the last one which we are facing, that is the COVID-19 virus, right? और इसका nature जो है, इसकी पूरी जो characteristics है, it is very difficult. It is a single-stranded and it makes own manipulation from person to person. So right now deciding about the strategy of the treatment, what I feel is a bit difficult right now at this particular stage, because the scientists are working on each and every step of the SARS-CoV-2. So अभी हम अगर बात बोलते हैं तो बहुत ही difficult है, कहना संभव नहीं, not possible.
Madam, you also covered the nutraceutical in your session. So, can you just tell me the role of nutraceutical in COVID-19 management except immunoboosters?
It's an immunobooster only. Immunobooster के रूप में ही काम करेगा in SARS-CoV-2.
Hope Dr. Chandan has received his answer. Thank you so much, madam, for giving your valuable time.
Thank you.
And it's really wonderful and knowledgeable session you have shared with us. And last, what message you wanted to give to all the participants?
Now, I want to say that जो भी हमारे fellow pharmacists हैं, we all of us, we should work together. We should work for the society. And in this particular pandemic situations, it's a time where we can make our identity, which I mean, जो हमें नहीं मिल पाई है value, आज तक जो value हमें नहीं मिल पाई है, ये एक time है where we can make ourselves presentable in the society and making our own value. I think that is the point.
That is much more important.
So I'm really glad to be part of this profession. I think everybody should be happy to be in this profession, pharmacy professions, and we should, I mean, really go for it.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So again, we have this namaste pattern, okay?
Namaste.
Namaste.
So I think that was a wonderful session by respected ma'am, and thanks finally. So here it is. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this beautiful occasion. On behalf of Mission Star Team Jabalpur and Prasal Foundation, I extend my a very hearty vote of thanks to the honorable speakers who blessed us with this wonderful sessions. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Mr. Amit Narayan Gupta, who is manager at Zydus Healthcare, Jabalpur Division, for his unforgettable support. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, Mr. Amit Gupta
Thank you,
ji.
sir.
I thank all delegates and participants who delightful experience and took out valuable time of your busy schedule. I am very grateful to Professor Preeti Tagde and Team Prasar for building a Mission Star program and providing an opportunity in the form of this platform. I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Mrs. Seema Kohli ma'am, who blessed us the Mission Star program in the form of chief patron. Overall, I wish by getting most of this session, we'll not only learn to live, but also combat with this pandemic situations in the near future. We'll definitely try to bring more fruitful sessions like this. And till then, thank you everyone for making this event successful with your contribution. Thank you so much, everyone. Please take care. Have a good time ahead.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much
Namaste.
for sparing your valuable time.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। और मैं बहुत देर से सुन रहा था, मेरा माइक जो था वो म्यूट में था एक्चुअली।
At least you have to
मैं
talk with
डेंगरा सर को
facility.
भी थोड़ा थैंक यू बोल हाँ, पर मैंने डिस्टर्ब करना ठीक नहीं समझा। काफी लोग बोल रहे थे, और जब सीनियर्स बोल रहे हो तो अपना बोलना ठीक भी नहीं होता है। वी हैव टू बी गुड लिसनर। तो बहुत अच्छा लगा सुन के, डेंगरा सर ने काफी अच्छा बोला। उनसे मेरी भी पर्सनल पे बात भी हो गई, उनका फोन आया था और ही थैंक्ड ऑल ऑफ अस फॉर दिस सेशन। तो कोरोना का तो सर ऐसा है कि अभी फील्ड पे हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं, बट वी आर टेकिंग ऑल मेजर प्रिकॉशंस।
Okay.
हाँ, तो पर डॉक्टर्स का कहना यही है कि अगर जरूरी नहीं है तो घर पे ही रहें,
Obviously,
बहुत
unnecessary.
जरूरी है तभी बाहर जाएं।
Yes, yes.
भाई
तो जो एकेडमिक्स वाले हैं
2020 बचने के लिए है,
बचने के लिए।
आत्मनिर्भर
जी
बनो।
बिल्कुल
Nobody
बिल्कुल
else.
बिल्कुल। और हम कोशिश करेंगे सर कि ऐसे सेशन और भी मतलब आफ्टर लॉकडाउन भी या आफ्टर कोरोना भी कभी कभी हम ऐसा कनेक्ट कर सके, जो स्पेशलिस्ट हैं डायबिटीज और कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट वगैरह।
जरूर 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 जरूर।
Thank you so much. Shall I end the meeting?